Don't know where to start in Bannerlord? Then this guide is for you. I'll show you how to make a badass character that fits your playstyle, with plenty of pro tips along the way so you can conquer Calradia with confidence.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking this out, and today we are talking character creation in Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. Before we even get into character creation, there is an option on the PS5 to turn your touchpad into a mouse, and that is our very first pro tip. With that out of the way, let's get started. Bannerlord is a big game. Both campaign mode and sandbox mode don't actually have an end, so taking the time now to focus on what kind of character you want to play for the next 500 hours will save you a lot of time. Bannerlord has 6 different cultures to choose from. This is just for your character, your clan, and maybe even your kingdom, but doesn't affect the troops available to you while you play. I'll be talking about each one briefly from more of a character standpoint instead of a collection of stats, because for me, that makes the game a lot more fun. Vlandia is a kingdom consisting of heavy cavalry and knights and lords and that sort of. So if that's your kind of thing, then you should pick them. Sturgia is the axe-wielding, fur-trading, shield-walling culture that occupies the northern region of Calradia. While they do have some Nordic descendants, the actual Nord faction has yet to be released at the time of this video, so some of their current gear and cultural bonuses are set to change, but that hasn't been released yet, so stay tuned for updates as I plan on covering war sales when it releases. Eventually. The Khuzait are actually a collection of clans bound by loyalty to their Khan. They are the horse masters of Calradia, especially their mounted archers. There are different ways you could play this. Starting a campaign as a Khuzait, you can feel very out of place as it begins in the center of the empire. Split into 3 at the start of the game by a civil war, so that's fun. A great deal of the center of the map is actually Empire lands, so finding troops shouldn't be a problem. Maybe your character supports one of the factions, maybe he makes his own and tries to unify them. Lots of potential for stories there. The Aserai live in the deserts to the south, and looking at their bonuses, you'd think they were just a bunch of traitors. That is a lie. While they do excel at it, their troops are pretty well balanced and their lands are easily defended. I have a love-hate relationship with the Aserai because in one of my games they went unchecked for too long and now own half the map. I might end up finishing that game one of these days. Battanians come from the forested area to the northwest of Calradia and specialize in two-handed weapons, devastating archers, and guerrilla warfare. They charge into battle with raised weapons and painted faces. They are the original inhabitants of the land now known as Calradia, and I like playing them if I plan to be the one to personally bring down the Empire. The game has a pretty detailed creation system, and with a bit of work playing with the sliders, you can make a very decent looking character, or just click random a bunch of times and hope for the best. None of this changes your stats in the game, however, your height does affect your reach and how big of a target you are, not by a crazy amount, but remember that when looters are breaking your face with rocks. Hopefully by this point you've got an idea for what kind of character you want to play, because now is where your story begins. First you get to choose what kind of family you were born into. Each of these choices that make up your personal backstory come with small adjustments to your stats that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. If you need a bit more details on what a skill does, you can simply hover the cursor over it and get a rough idea. From a story perspective, however, the choices you see here are actually different based on what culture you've picked. As you go through and make choices at the key moments in your life, pay particular attention to the youth screen, as this choice actually determines what your starting equipment is. By the time you're a young adult, you get your first personality trait. These traits are what shape your character's reputation and how they and the other people of Calradia interact. How your character handles quests and battles in Calradia will add or change these traits. Once you've made all your choices, you have a chance to reflect and look back on your life and wonder if you should have done something different. But you totally can! Go back and play around with some options and see what works for your playstyle. You level up skills in this game by using them, so while these choices do give you a strong start, your character's life from here on will be a much bigger factor in what they're skilled at. When looking at the difficulty settings, these can also change how the game plays. There's no wrong option here, as Bannerlord basically has a normal, hard, and harder setting. With the exception of Iron Man mode, all of these can be changed once you play. And that brings me to my biggest piece of advice. Do not restart. The life you just built will never be perfect. You will win and you will lose. Bannerlord is an amazing sandbox strategy RPG, and it is far more enjoyable long-term when you roll with whatever fate brings and keep going. Then the game actually begins, and you will have the choice to do the tutorial or not. Even if you're an experienced player, I suggest doing the tutorial quickly because the story is slightly different, and that is the only way to discover your character's default clan name. Just open up the encyclopedia and search for your own name. If you skip it, then there's only a brief moment when it appears and then deletes before you enter your own clan name. Now you know how to make a character that fits your playstyle, and you have the tools you need to start your saga. If you have any questions or I missed something, then feel free to leave a comment. If you like this video, there's a button for that at the bottom. If you want to see more about Bannerlord and the upcoming expansion, there's a button for that too.
That's all I got for now. See you in the next one.